The warning lights flashed red across the bridge of the Confederation scout ship Eternal Glory. Admiral Zektar's crystalline body shimmered with excitement as he watched the primitive planet called Earth grow larger on the main screen. His species, the Velthani, had conquered 47 worlds in the past century. This backwater planet would be number 48. "Sir, we're detecting weapons fire from the human settlements," reported Commander HFY, his insect-like mandibles clicking nervously. The HFY officer had seen many battles, but something about these humans made him uneasy. Zektar laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Show me their pathetic attempts at defense." The main screen switched to tactical view. Tiny missiles streaked up from Earth's surface and orbital platforms, leaving bright trails against the black of space. The human weapons flew in what appeared to be completely random directions. Some headed toward empty space between planets. Others curved away from the Confederation fleet entirely. "Are they even trying to hit us?" asked Lieutenant Morphin, a gas being from the outer rim whose translucent form rippled with confusion. The first wave of human missiles reached their apparent targets and exploded. Brilliant flashes of nuclear fire bloomed in the vacuum, each one nowhere near any Confederation ship. The closest detonation was still thousands of kilometers away from the fleet. "This is embarrassing," Zektar said, his crystal form brightening with amusement. "Record everything. The other admirals will want to see this comedy." More missiles launched from Earth. These flew even further off target if that was possible. One group headed toward the asteroid belt. Another batch curved toward Mars. A third wave seemed aimed at Jupiter's moons. Each missile exploded harmlessly in empty space, creating pretty light shows that accomplished nothing. Commander HFY studied his tactical readouts. "Sir, their targeting systems must be completely broken. Either that or they're using weapons technology from 1,000 years ago." "Perhaps they're trying to intimidate us with fireworks," suggested Morphin. "Some primitive species think loud noises and bright lights will scare away threats." The bridge crew erupted in laughter. Even the normally serious HFY officers clicked their mandibles in what passed for amusement among their kind. The idea that these humans thought random explosions would frighten the mighty Confederation fleet was hilarious. "Sir, incoming transmission from Earth," reported the communications officer. "Put it through. Let's hear what these primitives have to say." A human face appeared on the screen. The creature looked young for its species, with dark skin and short black hair. Its uniform was simple compared to Confederation military dress. "This is General Martinez of the United Earth Defense Force," the human said. "You have entered our solar system without permission. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." Zektar could barely contain his laughter. "Consequences? We've been watching your weapons for the past hour. Your missiles can't even find our ships, let alone damage them." General Martinez's expression didn't change. "You've been warned. What happens next is your choice." The transmission ended. Another wave of human missiles launched immediately. This batch even more wildly off target than the previous ones. Some seemed aimed at empty regions of space light years away. Others curved back toward Earth's own moon. "They're either completely insane or completely incompetent," Commander HFY observed. "Possibly both." Zektar activated the fleet's long-range communicator. "Command, this is Admiral Zektar. The human resistance is negligible. Their weapons appear to be malfunctioning. Request permission to begin standard occupation procedures." The response came quickly from Confederation High Command. "Granted, Admiral. We're sending your battle recordings to all fleet commanders as training examples of primitive species feudal resistance." "Understood, Command." Zektar out. The Admiral turned to his crew. "Prepare the ultimatum broadcast. Standard terms. They have 72 hours to surrender unconditionally." As his communications officer worked, Zektar watched another barrage of human missiles streak away into space. These were even more ridiculously off target than before. One appeared to be heading toward a point somewhere beyond Pluto. Another group seemed aimed at coordinates that contained absolutely nothing but empty vacuum. "Sir, the ultimatum is ready for broadcast," the communications officer reported. "Send it on all frequencies. Make sure every human on that planet hears it." The message went out across Earth's communication networks. Standard Confederation terms: complete surrender, disarmament of all military forces, acceptance of Confederation law, and tribute payments in the form of resources and conscripted labor. Failure to comply would result in immediate planetary bombardment and occupation. "How long do you think they'll hold out?" asked Commander HFY. "With weapons like those? They'll surrender within hours, Zektar replied confidently. No species is stupid enough to keep fighting when their missiles can't even find their targets. But the humans didn't surrender. Instead, they launched more missiles. Wave after wave of them, each more randomly aimed than the last. The weapons streaked away in all directions, exploding harmlessly in the vast emptiness of space. Some detonated near Mars, others near the asteroid belt. A few seemed aimed at Jupiter's outer moons. This is actually becoming annoying, Morphin observed. They're wasting our time with these pointless fireworks displays. Zektar watched the latest batch of missiles curve away toward what appeared to be absolutely nothing. At least they're providing entertainment. I've never seen such spectacularly bad marksmanship. The tactical officer, a young Velthani named Krystal, spoke up hesitantly. Sir, I've been analyzing their firing patterns. The distribution seems almost organized. Organized? Zektar's crystal form dimmed slightly. Explain. Well, sir, they're not hitting random points. They're hitting specific coordinates, and those coordinates seem to form some kind of geometric pattern across the solar system. Commander Hicksval's mandibles clicked dismissively. Nonsense. They're just firing wildly and hoping to hit something by accident. Krystal pulled up a three-dimensional map of the solar system, marking each missile detonation with a bright dot. Look at this, sir. Each explosion point is precisely calculated. The spacing is exact. The pattern is expanding outward from Earth at a consistent rate. Zektar studied the display. The dots did seem to form some kind of pattern, but he couldn't imagine what purpose it might serve. Perhaps they're trying to create some primitive communication system, or maybe it's a religious ritual. Sir, shall we move closer to Earth? Asked Commander Hicksval. These missile attacks are clearly no threat to us. Yes, bring us within orbital range. Let's end this farce and get on with the occupation. As the Confederation fleet moved deeper into Earth's solar system, more human missiles launched. These continued the same pattern of apparently random explosions across vast distances. The alien officers had stopped paying attention to them entirely. They were clearly dealing with a species that had weapons technology, but no idea how to use it effectively. Sir, we're receiving communication signals from other Confederation fleets, the communications officer reported. They're requesting copies of our battle recordings. Apparently, news of the humans' incompetence has spread throughout the fleet network. Zektar felt a surge of pride. His discovery of this amusing primitive species was already becoming famous throughout the Confederation. Send them everything. Let the entire galaxy see what happens when primitives try to fight their betters. As the fleet drew closer to Earth, the human missile attacks continued. Each wave seemed more pointless than the last, with weapons exploding further and further from any possible target. Whatever these humans were trying to accomplish, they were failing spectacularly. Zektar settled back in his command chair, already planning the victory celebration. This would be the easiest conquest in Confederation history. 3 days later, the main Confederation invasion fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. Admiral Zektar watched with satisfaction as over 300 warships materialized in perfect formation. Massive dreadnoughts capable of cracking planets floated alongside swift destroyer squadrons and heavily armed battlecruisers. Impressive sight, isn't it? Admiral Zektar said to his assembled fleet commanders. The holographic images of dozens of alien officers filled his bridge, representing every major species in the Confederation military. Admiral Throckmar, a massive reptilian being whose scales gleamed like polished metal, growled his approval. My dreadnought squadron is ready to demonstrate proper weapons usage to these humans. Perhaps they'll learn something before they die. The humans have continued their amusing missile displays, reported Commander Hicksval. Same random firing patterns. Same completely missed targets. If anything, their aim has gotten worse. Fleet Admiral Sektoth, the Supreme Commander of Confederation forces, appeared as a shimmering energy form in the holographic display. Her species existed as pure thought given physical form, making her one of the most brilliant military minds in the galaxy. Admiral Zektar, your reports have provided considerable entertainment to our forces. The recordings of human marksmanship have become the most watched videos in our fleet network. Thank you, Admiral, Zektar replied, his crystalline form brightening with pride. The humans show no signs of improving their accuracy. They've fired over 2,000 missiles in the past 72 hours. Not one has come within 10,000 kilometers of any of our ships. Fascinating, Admiral Sektoth mused. I've studied the tactical reports from hundreds of conquered worlds. Never have we encountered a species with such consistently poor weapons performance. It's almost as if they're aiming to miss deliberately. The assembled commanders laughed at this suggestion. The idea that any species would waste precious military resources on deliberately missing their targets was absurd. "Sir, the ultimatum deadline has passed," Commander HFY reported. "The humans have refused to surrender." Admiral Zektar wasn't surprised. Primitive species often fought hopeless battles rather than accept the inevitable. "Very well. All ships advance to orbital positions. Prepare for planetary bombardment." The massive fleet began moving deeper into the solar system. The ships arranged themselves in the standard Confederation siege formation, with the heaviest dreadnoughts in the center and fast attack craft on the flanks. It was a formation that had never failed to intimidate enemy forces into surrender. But the humans didn't surrender. Instead, they launched their largest missile barrage yet. Thousands of projectiles streaked up from Earth's surface and orbital platforms. Nuclear warheads and exotic matter bombs created a spectacular light show as they exploded across the solar system. The missiles spread out in all directions, some heading toward Mars, others curving toward the asteroid belt, and many simply detonating in empty space. By the void, they're even worse shots than before, Admiral Throckmar rumbled. His reptilian features showed pure confusion. "Half those missiles are flying away from us entirely." Lieutenant Morphin's gaseous form rippled with what might have been laughter. "Look at that one. It's heading for Jupiter's moons. Do they think we're hiding behind gas giants?" The Confederation fleet barely needed to activate their defensive systems. A few point defense lasers destroyed missiles that came within 100,000 kilometers of the ships, but most of the human weapons were so far off target that they posed no threat at all. "Sir, I'm reading unusual energy signatures from some of the detonations," reported the science officer, a multi-armed being from the Galactic Core. "The humans appear to be using exotic matter in their warheads." "Exotic matter?" Zektar was intrigued. "That requires advanced physics knowledge. Perhaps these humans aren't as primitive as we thought." "If they understand exotic matter, that makes their terrible aim even more embarrassing," Commander HFY observed. "Species that can manipulate exotic particles should be able to build proper guidance systems." The fleet continued its advance toward Earth. As they moved closer, the human attacks became more frequent and more spectacularly inaccurate. Missiles curved away from the fleet in impossible directions. Some seemed to be aimed at coordinates that contained absolutely nothing but empty vacuum. Others detonated in patterns that looked almost artistic against the black of space. "Perhaps it's some kind of primitive warning ritual," suggested Admiral Throckmar. "Many species perform ceremonial battles before actual combat begins. Or maybe they're trying to create a defensive perimeter," added another commander. "Some cultures believe that enough explosions in space will create an energy barrier." Admiral Sektoth's energy form flickered thoughtfully. "Whatever their purpose, these humans are certainly persistent. They've now fired over 5,000 missiles without achieving a single hit." "Should we respond with a demonstration of proper weapons usage?" asked Admiral Throckmar. "A few well-placed shots from our main guns would show them what real marksmanship looks like." "Not yet," Zektar decided. "Let them waste their ammunition first. When they've exhausted their supplies, we'll demonstrate the difference between their pathetic fireworks and true military power." The Confederation fleet reached Earth's orbital zone without encountering any meaningful resistance. The human missiles continued to fly in all directions except toward the alien ships. Nuclear explosions bloomed like flowers across the solar system, each one harmlessly distant from any Confederation vessel. "Sir, we're detecting massive troop movements on the planet's surface," reported the tactical officer. "The humans appear to be preparing for ground combat." "Excellent," Admiral Throckmar growled. "My HFY shock troops are eager for battle. It's been too long since we've faced primitive warriors in direct combat." Zektar studied the tactical displays. Human military forces were indeed moving into defensive positions around their major cities, but their space-based defenses continued to fire randomly into the void, accomplishing nothing except providing entertainment for the Confederation crews. "Sir, permission to begin landing operations?" requested General Vexkar, commander of the Confederation ground forces. His heavily armored form looked eager for battle. "Granted, General, but maintain safe distances from their orbital platforms. We don't want any of our troops accidentally hit by their wildly off-target missiles. The general's mandibles clicked in amusement. Understood, sir. Though given their accuracy, we could probably land directly on top of their weapons platforms without taking damage. Confederation landing craft began launching from the fleet carriers. Thousands of armored troops prepared for what everyone expected to be a swift and easy victory. The Krixhai shock warriors checked their weapons. The Velthani energy specialists charged their combat suits. The massive Thrakani heavy infantry tested their siege equipment. Meanwhile, the human missile attacks continued. If anything, they were becoming more frequent and more randomly distributed. Explosions dotted the solar system from Mercury to the outer planets. Some detonations occurred so far from any possible target that long-range sensors could barely detect them. I'm starting to feel sorry for them, Lieutenant Morphin commented. They're clearly trying their best, but their weapons technology is just too primitive. Commander Hicksval nodded agreement. At least they're brave. Stupid, but brave. Many species surrender without firing a single shot. Admiral Zektar watched another wave of human missiles streak away toward empty space near Saturn. Begin the final approach. All ships prepare for orbital bombardment. Once we eliminate their surface weapons, we can land our troops without any interference from their fireworks displays. The mighty Confederation fleet moved into final attack positions. Hundreds of warships arranged themselves around Earth like predators surrounding wounded prey, their weapons powered up, ready to demonstrate the overwhelming superiority of advanced alien technology. Below them, the humans continued their futile missile attacks. Nuclear fire bloomed across the solar system in an increasingly complex pattern of apparently random explosions. Whatever the humans thought they were accomplishing, it would all be over soon. Admiral Zektar prepared to give the order for planetary bombardment. This would be the shortest conquest in Confederation history, and definitely the most entertaining. Deep beneath the surface of Luna, in a bunker carved from solid rock, Dr. Sarah Chen stared at her screens with growing excitement. The hidden lunar research facility had been monitoring the alien invasion for days, recording every detail of the space battle above. Computer, show me the distribution pattern again, she said, her fingers dancing across the holographic controls. The main display lit up with a three-dimensional map of the inner solar system. Thousands of bright dots marked the locations where human missiles had detonated over the past week. To most observers, the pattern looked completely random, but Dr. Chen was one of only 12 people on Earth who understood what they were really looking at. Amazing, whispered Dr. James Park, her research partner. The elderly physicist had helped design humanity's most secret weapon, but even he seemed awed by seeing it deployed on such a massive scale. The precision is perfect. Every detonation point is exactly where the calculations predicted. Dr. Chen zoomed in on a section of the display near Mars. The explosion points formed a complex geometric lattice, with each dot precisely positioned relative to its neighbors. Look at the spacing intervals. 3.7 astronomical units between primary nodes, with secondary intersections at exactly half that distance. The aliens have no idea what they're looking at, Dr. Park said with satisfaction. To them, it just looks like terrible marksmanship. That's the beauty of it, Dr. Chen replied. Every advanced civilization in the galaxy has followed the same technological development path. Energy weapons, force fields, faster than light travel. They all think in terms of direct confrontation. She pulled up another display showing the alien fleet positions. The Confederation ships had moved deep into Earth's orbital zone, exactly where the defense planners had hoped they would go. But humans, we've always been good at thinking outside the box. Dr. Park nodded grimly. While they were perfecting their weapons, we were learning to weaponize space itself. The two scientists had spent their careers studying exotic matter physics, the strange particles that existed at the boundary between normal matter and energy. Most species used exotic matter for faster-than-light travel, creating small bubble universes that allowed ships to skip across vast distances. But humans had discovered something else entirely. Computer, show me the exotic matter concentration levels, Dr. Chen commanded. The display changed to show energy readings across the solar system. Where each human missile had detonated, strange particles were gathering in space. The exotic matter was invisible to normal sensors, detectable only by the specialized equipment in the lunar facility. Concentration is building exactly as predicted, Dr. Park observed. Each detonation point is creating a localized exotic matter field, and those fields are starting to interact with each other. Dr. Chen felt a chill of anticipation. How long until we reach critical mass? Based on current accumulation rates, 18 hours, maybe less if the aliens move closer to Earth. On the screens above them, another wave of human missiles streaked away from Earth's orbital platforms. The weapons appeared to be aimed at empty space near Jupiter, but Dr. Chen knew better. Those missiles were targeting specific gravitational intersection points, places where the solar system's natural forces created perfect conditions for exotic matter manipulation. The aliens are probably laughing at us right now, Dr. Park said quietly. Let them laugh, Dr. Chen replied. In a few hours, they'll understand what we've really been doing. She pulled up the master tactical display, showing all missile detonations over the past week. The pattern was breathtaking in its complexity. Thousands of precisely placed exotic matter charges formed an intricate, three-dimensional web throughout the inner solar system. Each charge was positioned at a specific gravitational nexus point, where the combined pull of planets, moons, and the sun created perfect conditions for space-time manipulation. The grid is almost complete, Dr. Chen observed. Just a few more insertion points needed near the outer perimeter. As if responding to her words, another batch of human missiles launched from Earth's surface. These curved away towards seemingly empty regions of space beyond Mars, but Dr. Chen knew they were heading for the final coordinates needed to complete humanity's greatest weapon. Sarah, Dr. Park said softly, are we sure about this? Once we trigger the grid, there's no going back. Those alien ships will be trapped until we decide to release them. Dr. Chen considered the question seriously. The weapon they had built was unlike anything ever conceived by any known species. Instead of trying to destroy enemy ships directly, they had learned to manipulate the fundamental structure of space and time itself. The exotic matter grid, once activated, would create a localized gravitational anomaly that could trap entire fleets. Look at their fleet composition, she said, gesturing to the tactical display. Over 300 ships, including planet-killer dreadnoughts. If we let them proceed with their invasion, billions of people will die. Dr. Park nodded reluctantly. And if other species learn that Earth can be conquered easily, we'll face invasion after invasion until humanity is extinct. Exactly. We need to send a message that Earth is not defenseless, that attacking humanity comes with consequences no one has ever imagined. On the screens, the alien fleet continued its advance toward Earth. The massive ships moved in perfect formation, their crews confident that they faced only primitive weapons that couldn't even find their targets. Admiral Zektar's forces had no idea that every missed shot had been precisely calculated to place exotic matter charges at specific coordinates in space. Computer, show me the final targeting solution, Dr. Chen commanded. The display changed to show the remaining launch coordinates needed to complete the grid. Only 12 more missiles were required, each one targeting a specific point in space where gravitational forces created perfect conditions for exotic matter accumulation. Transmission, incoming from Defense Command, announced the facility's AI system. General Martinez's face appeared on the communication screen. The military commander looked tired but determined. Dr. Chen, we're ready for the final phase. All remaining missiles are loaded and targeted according to your specifications. Understood, General. The grid is 96% complete. Once you fire the final sequence, we'll have about 30 minutes before the exotic matter reaches critical density. And then? Dr. Chen looked at the tactical display showing the alien fleet deep within Earth's orbital zone. Then we spring the trap. The gravitational anomaly will form exactly where their ships are positioned. They'll be caught in a localized space-time distortion that their technology can't escape. General Martinez's expression was grim. No casualties? None intended, General. The gravitational field will trap their ships, but it won't destroy them. Think of it as a very large, very sophisticated cage. Good. I'd rather defeat them than slaughter them. Maybe we can even negotiate a peaceful resolution once they understand our capabilities. Dr. Chen watched another group of human missiles streak away toward their final destinations. General, you should know that this weapon will change everything. Once the galaxy sees what we've accomplished, every advanced species will want to understand how we did it. Will that be a problem? Not if we're careful. The exotic matter manipulation techniques could revolutionize interstellar travel and energy production. But in the wrong hands, they could also be used to create gravitational weapons far more destructive than anything we're deploying today. General Martinez nodded, understanding. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Right now, I'm more concerned with surviving the next few hours. The alien fleet is in perfect position, Dr. Park observed, studying the tactical display. They've moved exactly where we hoped they would. Deep within the grid perimeter with no easy escape routes. Dr. Chen felt a mixture of anticipation and anxiety. Humanity's greatest gamble was about to be tested. General, you may fire when ready, acknowledged. Final missile sequence launching in 60 seconds. On the screens, the last group of human weapons lifted off from Earth's orbital platforms. To the alien observers, these missiles would look like more random shots fired by desperate defenders. In reality, they were the final components of the most sophisticated trap ever constructed by human hands. Dr. Chen watched the missiles streak toward their destinations, each one carrying exotic matter charges that would complete the gravitational grid. In less than an hour, the alien invaders would discover that human beings were far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Admiral Zektar was reviewing the final invasion plans when the universe suddenly changed around him. It started as a barely noticeable vibration in the ship's hull. The crystalline Velthani admiral initially dismissed it as engine harmonics, but the sensation grew stronger. His bridge crew began looking around nervously as their instruments detected something impossible. "Sir, we're reading massive gravitational fluctuations throughout the local area," reported the science officer, his multiple arms working frantically at his controls. "The readings don't make sense. It's like space itself is bending." "Explain," Zektar demanded, his crystal form flickering with concern. "I can't, sir. The gravitational fields are forming geometric patterns around our fleet. Perfect mathematical structures that shouldn't exist in nature." Commander Hixeval's mandibles clicked anxiously. "Sir, navigation is reporting problems with our position readings. Our coordinates keep shifting even though we're maintaining stable orbits." Admiral Zektar felt the first stirring of real alarm. "Get me Admiral Sektoth now." The holographic image of the fleet commander appeared instantly, her energy form crackling with confusion. Admiral Zektar, we're detecting the same anomalies throughout the fleet. Our science teams are baffled. The gravitational readings suggest massive objects that simply aren't there. Could the humans have some kind of cloaking technology? Zektar asked. Impossible. No cloaking system could hide gravitational signatures this large. We're talking about mass concentrations equivalent to small planets, positioned at precise coordinates throughout the solar system. On the main screen, another wave of human missiles streaked away from Earth. But this time, when they detonated, something different happened. Instead of simple nuclear explosions, the warheads created brilliant cascades of exotic energy that seemed to tear holes in space itself. "By the void," whispered Lieutenant Morphin, his gaseous form rippling with terror. "What are they doing?" The answer came immediately. The invisible gravitational fields that had been building throughout the solar system suddenly synchronized. Space itself began to fold and compress around the Confederation fleet. Stars that should have been light years away suddenly appeared to be moving closer. The familiar constellations twisted into impossible shapes. "Emergency jump to hyperspace," Admiral Zektar ordered. "All ships immediate retreat." But the fleet's hyperspace drives refused to engage. Worse than refused, they began pulling the ships deeper into the growing gravitational anomaly. The same technology that allowed faster-than-light travel by manipulating space-time was now working against them. Drawn irresistibly toward the exotic matter concentrations hidden throughout the solar system. "Sir, the gravitational field is strengthening," the science officer reported, his voice rising in panic. "Our ships are being pulled toward a central convergence point. Engine thrust has no effect." Admiral Throckmar's massive reptilian form appeared on the communication screen, his usual confidence replaced by barely controlled fear. "Admiral Zektar, my dreadnought squadron is trapped in some kind of gravitational whirlpool. Our weapons are useless against it. How do we fight empty space?" That was exactly the problem. The Confederation fleet carried enough firepower to destroy planets, but their weapons were designed to target physical objects. Energy beams and explosive missiles couldn't damage gravitational fields. Force shields that could deflect any known weapon provided no protection against the fundamental forces of physics. Sir, structural stress is increasing throughout the fleet, Commander Hicksvall reported. Some of our lighter vessels are beginning to show hull deformation. Admiral Zektar watched in growing horror as his mighty fleet was compressed into an ever smaller volume of space. Ships that had been hundreds of kilometers apart were now almost touching. The gravitational forces were so strong that they were creating visible distortions in the view screens. Admiral Sektoth, can your science teams explain what's happening to us? The fleet commander's energy form was flickering erratically, a sign of extreme stress among her species. Our best analysis suggests that the humans have been placing exotic matter charges at specific gravitational intersection points throughout their solar system. When activated simultaneously, these charges create a localized space-time distortion. You mean they've turned their entire solar system into a weapon? That appears to be correct. Every missile we thought was a random miss was actually precisely targeted to create this trap. They weren't trying to hit our ships, Admiral. They were aiming at the structure of space itself. The implications hit Admiral Zektar like a physical blow. How long have they been planning this? Based on the complexity of the gravitational grid, they would have needed months or years to calculate the precise coordinates. This wasn't a desperate last-minute defense, Admiral. This was a carefully prepared trap, and we flew right into it. On the communication channels, reports flooded in from across the fleet. Ships were being compressed together so tightly that collision warnings were constant. The gravitational forces were so intense that they were affecting time itself. Chronometers on different ships were running at different speeds. Sir, incoming transmission from the human planet, the communications officer reported. Put it through. General Martinez appeared on the main screen, his expression calm and professional. Behind him, Dr. Chen and other human scientists worked at control stations covered with incomprehensible displays. Admiral Zektar, I believe we need to talk, the human said. What have you done to us? Zektar demanded, his crystal form dim with defeat. We've demonstrated that human beings are not the primitive species you assumed us to be, General Martinez replied. Your fleet is currently trapped in a controlled gravitational anomaly. The exotic matter grid we've created will hold your ships indefinitely. Impossible. No species has ever developed gravitational weapons of this scale. Dr. Chen stepped forward. That's because every other species followed the same technological development path. You all focused on building better energy weapons and stronger force fields. Humanity took a different approach. While you were perfecting the art of destroying matter, General Martinez added, we learned to manipulate the fundamental forces that govern reality itself. You cannot fight gravity, Admiral. You cannot shield against space-time distortion. And you cannot escape from a prison built from the fabric of the universe. Admiral Zektar felt something he had never experienced before in his long military career. Complete helplessness. His fleet was trapped by forces beyond his understanding. Weapons that his people had never imagined possible. What do you want? He asked quietly. First, the immediate withdrawal of all Confederation forces from this solar system, General Martinez said. Second, a guarantee that Earth will not be attacked again. Third, the establishment of diplomatic relations between humanity and the Confederation. And if we refuse? Dr. Chen manipulated her controls, and the gravitational field around the fleet tightened slightly. The compression was barely noticeable, but the message was clear. Then you remain exactly where you are, General Martinez said. Forever, if necessary. The gravitational grid is self-sustaining. It doesn't require any ongoing energy input from us. We could simply leave you there and go about our business. Admiral Sektoth's image flickered onto the screen. General Martinez, our science teams would like to understand how you developed this technology. The physics involved seem impossible according to our knowledge. Impossible, maybe, Dr. Chen replied with a slight smile. But we humans have a saying. The impossible just takes a little longer. We've been studying exotic matter physics for over a century, ever since we first detected the gravitational signatures of your faster-than-light drives. You've been watching us for a century? Admiral Zektar asked in amazement. Listening, actually. Your ship's hyperspace engines create detectable gravitational waves. We've been tracking Confederation fleet movements throughout this entire region of the galaxy for decades. The revelation stunned the alien commanders. Not only had humanity developed impossible weapons, but they had been conducting surveillance on Confederation forces without anyone realizing it. General Martinez leaned forward. Admirals, I suggest you contact your superiors and inform them of the situation. Earth is prepared to negotiate, but not from a position of weakness. The galaxy is about to learn that humanity is far more dangerous than anyone imagined. The emergency session of the Confederation High Council convened in the Great Chamber on Velthanus Prime, homeworld of the crystalline beings who had dominated galactic politics for 3 centuries. Representatives from 47 species gathered in holographic attendance, their forms shimmering with agitation and disbelief. Supreme Chancellor Korthvel, eldest of the Velthani leaders, called the session to order with a sound like singing crystal. Fellow councilors, we face an unprecedented crisis. Admiral Sektoth, present your report. The fleet commander's energy form appeared in the center of the chamber, crackling with barely contained stress. Honored councilors, the entire 7th Fleet remains trapped in the humans' gravitational anomaly. Our ships cannot move, cannot escape, and cannot fight back. We are completely at their mercy. Councillor Throckagin, representative of the massive reptilian species, slammed his clawed fist on the chamber floor. How is this possible? Humans are a primitive species. They only achieved faster-than-light travel 50 years ago. That is what we believed, Admiral Sektoth replied grimly. We were wrong. The humans have developed weapons technology beyond anything in our experience. They have learned to weaponize space-time itself. Dr. Chen's image appeared alongside the Admiral's, transmitted from the Lunar Research Facility. The human scientist looked calm and professional despite addressing the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Honored councilors, she began, humanity requests the opportunity to address this assembly directly. The chamber erupted in shocked voices from dozens of species. No non-Confederation species had ever been permitted to address the High Council. The very suggestion was unprecedented. Chancellor Korthvel raised a crystalline hand for silence. Dr. Chen, your species has committed an act of war against the Confederation. You have no standing to make requests of this council. With respect, Chancellor, your forces invaded our solar system without provocation, Dr. Chen replied. We merely defended ourselves using the resources at our disposal. Resources? Councillor Vex Maria, a multi-armed being from the Galactic Core, spoke with obvious confusion. Your species was classified as having primitive weapons technology. How did you develop gravitational manipulation capabilities? Dr. Chen smiled slightly. Because you underestimated human ingenuity. Every species in the Confederation followed the same technological development path. You perfected energy weapons, force fields, and faster-than-light travel. But humans approached the problem differently. General Martinez appeared on the transmission, standing beside Dr. Chen in the lunar facility. While your species were building bigger guns, we were learning to understand the fundamental forces of reality. We studied how your own hyperspace drives work, how they manipulate exotic matter to bend space-time. Then we found ways to use those same principles for defense. Impossible, declared Councillor Morthek, whose gaseous form rippled with disbelief. Gravitational weapons of this scale would require computational resources beyond any single planet's capability. Normally, yes, Dr. Chen agreed. But humans have always been good at distributed problem solving. We use the combined processing power of our entire global computer network. Billions of individual machines working together to calculate the precise coordinates needed for exotic matter placement. Admiral Sektoth's form flickered as she accessed her tactical reports. Counselors, our analysis confirms that the humans fired over 8,000 missiles during their failed defense attempts. Every single detonation was precisely calculated to place exotic matter, charges at specific gravitational intersection, points that the pattern extends throughout their entire solar system, added Admiral Zektar, his crystalline form dim with embarrassment. They didn't just build a weapon. They turned their entire star system into a trap. Chancellor Korthvel's voice carried undertones of grudging respect, and we obligingly flew our fleet directly into the center of it. The humans are prepared to negotiate, General Martinez announced. But first, let me show you something that might change your perspective on this situation. The transmission switched to a view of space near Jupiter. Dozens of human cargo ships were positioning themselves around the gas giant's moons, their holds filled with exotic matter charges identical to those used in the gravitational trap. Over the past 50 years, General Martinez continued, human merchant vessels have visited 17 Confederation worlds. We told you we were interested in trade and cultural exchange. What we didn't mention was that our ships were also conducting detailed gravitational surveys of your star systems. The implications hit the assembled counselors like a physical blow. Dr. Chen's voice was matter of fact as she delivered the devastating news. Every major Confederation military base, every shipyard, every strategic resource center now has the exotic matter grid coordinates calculated and stored in our databases. We could activate gravitational traps around any of them within hours of our ships arriving in system. You're threatening the entire Confederation, Counselor Thruckin growled, his reptilian features twisted with anger. No, General Martinez replied calmly. We're offering you a choice. Continued hostility toward Earth will result in consequences no one wants to face. But peaceful coexistence offers benefits for everyone involved. Dr. Chen activated a new display showing complex mathematical formulas and energy readings. The exotic matter manipulation techniques we've developed have applications far beyond weapons. Improved faster than light travel, nearly unlimited energy generation, even the possibility of terraforming uninhabitable worlds. Humanity is prepared to share this knowledge with species that treat us as equals. And for those who don't, Chancellor Korthvel asked quietly. They can ask Admiral Zektar about the effectiveness of our defensive capabilities, General Martinez replied. In the trapped Confederation fleet, Admiral Zektar watched the proceedings with a mixture of admiration and resignation. The humans had outmaneuvered the galaxy's greatest military power through patience, planning, and completely unconventional thinking. Admiral Sektoth, he transmitted to his superior, I recommend accepting their terms. We've lost this confrontation completely. Our only choice is whether to lose it gracefully or catastrophically. The fleet commander's energy form pulsed with agreement. Counselors, Admiral Zektar is correct. The humans have demonstrated technological superiority in a field we didn't even know was possible. Continued resistance serves no purpose. Chancellor Korthvel considered the situation carefully. The Confederation had never faced defeat of this magnitude, but they had also never encountered an opponent who could threaten the fundamental structure of space around their worlds. Dr. Chen, General Martinez, the Chancellor said finally, what exactly are humanity's terms for releasing our fleet? Simple, General Martinez replied. Official recognition of Earth as a sovereign world with full diplomatic status. Immediate withdrawal of all Confederation military forces from our solar system, and establishment of formal trade and cultural exchange agreements. In return, Dr. Chen added, humanity will share our exotic matter research with all Confederation species. The applications for peaceful development are virtually unlimited. Counselor Vex Maria leaned forward with obvious interest. This exotic matter manipulation? Could it be used to stabilize dying stars? My species' homeworld orbits a red giant that will go supernova within 1,000 years. Absolutely, Dr. Chen confirmed. Exotic matter fields can be used to control stellar fusion rates. We could extend your star's stable lifetime by millions of years. Similar excited discussions broke out across the chamber as representatives realized the implications of humanity's offer. The technology that had trapped the Confederation's mightiest fleet could also solve problems that had plagued the galaxy for millennia. Very well, Chancellor Korthvel announced. The Confederation accepts humanity's terms. Earth will be granted full membership status, and our fleet will withdraw immediately upon its release. General Martinez nodded satisfaction. Dr. Chen, initiate the release sequence. On Luna, Dr. Chen began shutting down the exotic matter grid. Throughout the solar system, the gravitational fields that had held the alien fleet began to dissipate. Space slowly returned to its normal configuration, and the trapped ships found themselves free to move. Admiral Zektar, General Martinez transmitted to the fleet, you and your ships are free to go. We hope this will be the beginning of a long and peaceful relationship between our species. The crystalline admiral's form brightened with what might have been relief. General Martinez, I must admit that I underestimated humanity severely. Your species fights unlike anyone we have ever encountered. That's because we don't think like anyone you've ever encountered, Dr. Chen replied. Humans have always preferred to change the rules of the game rather than simply play it better than our opponents. As the Confederation fleet began its withdrawal from Earth's solar system, Admiral Zektar reflected on the lessons learned. The galaxy had always assumed that military superiority came from having the most powerful weapons or the strongest defenses. But humanity had proven that the greatest advantage came from thinking about problems in ways no one else had considered. The humans hadn't built better guns. They had learned to weaponize the universe itself.